Thanks for joining us again. Week 5, Halloween night. Tonight's episode, Halloween H20. Matty is back.
I'm back.
After a, what?
Long absence.
About, 10 weeks?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, the whole lockdown really fucked us up on that front. Jared, tonight's beer. Final beer of the Octoberfest. What are we on here?
Well, again, we've gone local. We went with the crankshaft. I believe we decided to go with the crankshaft because it's one of the upper echelon of the series, in our opinion.
Correct.
Would that be fair?
That is
Crankshaft
fair.
Similarly has, when you get onto the top lists, they've got a couple of beers up there. So, and I would also suggest that, much like the Rock Hopper, I've had a couple of nights where I woke up the next morning and felt like I'd had a tussle with Michael Myers, so it all fits.
Indeed. So let's crack the crankshaft, everyone.
In.
Oh, shit. A little bit of spillage.
Frothy.
Business. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Tasty. All right. Matty, as you haven't been around for some time, let's get a quick sense of what you've been
Well, look,
assaulting your eyeballs.
I know you'll be disappointed in my list, but there's some good things in there.
Quick question though. Have you been watching The Bachelor?
Bad. I don't know. We saw bits of it and then we cut that off pretty quick.
For the best.
Well, you'd say that, but it got replaced with the entire series of Sex in the City. So
Shit, yeah.
that show has not aged very well.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I watched Sex in the City. And I laughed occasionally.
It's not the worst show in the world, but it does not do much for women, let's be honest.
What else you got there, mate?
We've been, what else? We watched Hacks, which is, I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, it's on Stan? Is that
on
right?
Stan, yeah, it's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, I've heard.
I started watching it and I was like, no, this is going to be rubbish. But it's, like a show about an older comedian and navigating fame and losing fame and the potential of that and how people treat you different and all that sort of stuff. And it's actually pretty good. Written by I think the younger girl that's in it is got some Golden Globe credits, so it's a pretty decent watch actually. I saw it 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Sweet.
Maybe one review, but let's see. But that was pretty decent. I started What We Do in the Shadows, so that was pretty exciting for me. I'm a big Matt Berry fan, so I started and I've got to get back onto it because it was entertaining. I'm really enjoying that. This Is Pop. I kept on watching that and finished that series. They've got an episode in there on T-Pain.
What?
and how it basically starts with how Usher told him he's ruined music, which is a thought that I've had. What? But then they go into how the whole electronic thing is a sort of like a substitute or a cover, I guess, for his once he found this sound he was talking about. He was looking for a sound that would suit him, and for 2 years he was on the hunt, and then he found auto-tune and mucked around with it, and that became his sound. And then he talked about how he got redemption when he did an a cappella gig, or he did one without the auto-tune, and people were like, you can actually sing. So I've been listening to a bit of T-Pain lately.
It turned you around.
Yeah.
Turned you around on T-Pain?
Yeah.
He's had a couple of baggers, Jared.
We're waiting for that Vin Diesel T-Pain collaboration. You're hanging for it.
I think his time in the sun may have gone past. So
I watched Friday the 13th. I saw that for the first time.
the original.
The original, yeah.
Oh, and what was your take on the
So
original?
a lot of murders in that.
There is.
Kevin Bacon
Good to
sizzling.
see Kevin Bacon through the neck.
It was a bit random, and obviously I haven't got the nostalgia glasses on, but it's taken some things that have been used a lot, and I could appreciate it for what it was.
I'm glad that you're doing some homework. We're working our way to Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, have you got to Lethal Weapon?
I haven't got to Lethal Weapon yet. It hasn't been on Netflix, so.
But Lethal Weapon's 2, 3 and 4.
Why have they not put number 1 on?
I don't know.
I would have watched it a long time ago if it was up.
Yeah, you can't jump in at number 2. Come on. Fucking give me number 1.
Nah, one's your classic. Yeah, it's true.
I need to see it. I saw Venom after listening to you guys talk about it so often.
Was this the first first one or not?
This is mixed performance Venom. What's his face is
Tom Hardy.
He goes off. You don't know what the character is because he's all over the place,
mumbling and rambling.
It's a very, very random performance, but that looks some good action.
This is what happens if you get too much fame.
I feel like he was like in an actor's workshop and he was just showing his range of emotions.
I will give Tom Hardy credit. I saw an interview with him the other day where kids asked him questions and one of them said, "What happened to your rap career?" And he kind of looks at the interviewers and he goes, "I was fucking shot." That's what happened. So, yeah, I do have a lot of respect for Tom Hardy, but that was it's a crazy performance.
Yeah. I went back and watched pretty much the first season of the Chappelle Show, which I love it, absolutely love, because I watched off the back of the special. I just wanted to see if because the special just lost my interest at some point. I just wanted to see the old stuff's still magic.
It's still.
Has
brilliant.
it got? Is it the first season that's got when keeping it real?
Yeah. Mad real. Such a good take, Tyrese. Oh yeah.
Brilliant.
That one's funny. The creepy guy wanking in the corner. So good. Such a good show. Movies that made us. I got a couple of those under my belt. I had to see the Friday the 13th one after seeing the actual movie.
Yeah.
And a bit of Rick and Morty, which is still continuing. And then I watched Batman Returns, which Danny DeVito's least flattering role. If you can say that he's ugliest in this, it's pretty easy to do. And so it was a bit of a mixed bag, but that's the gist of it.
That's it?
There you go, yeah. Oh, there's probably more, but nothing good. I saw Cruella. Cruella was...
Was it any good?
Nah, it's pretty boring.
Yeah, well, I've sort of skirted around it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, avoid it.
Now, Jack.
So I too went through the movies that made us. I watched the 3 horror episodes. So I got Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street in October.
New, I would have assumed.
Yeah, for someone that knows a bit about it, it's just kind of touching some familiar ground, and you see a few little bits and pieces, but it's not really adding to anything. You see kind of new interviews with people that you've already heard from occasionally, but there's not really a lot of new information, but entertaining enough for people that are fans of that. Of course, we're going to go to it. What We Do in the Shadows, season 3. I've gone on to season 3. Fuck, I keep saying it, but nobody swears like Matt Berry. It's fucking brilliant. I mean, there's one episode where he gets a fucking harmonica knocked out his gob, so every time he's fucking trying to talk, the harmonica's playing and all this sort of shit. Like, just the way that he talks. There's one part where Guillermo's trying to talk to people and he's like, "I'm going to do this," and Berry's just in the background going, "The fuck you will." It just constantly cracks me up. But yeah, still funny. Creep Show, I got into a couple of the new series episodes of Creep Show. I knocked over a couple more of those. There's not as many that I was as keen on this time around. Like, I remember the first season, there was a couple of really good ones, including that Halloween one that I'm going to go back to that I really dug. Yeah. This time around, there's only sort of possibly one that I really think is in that kind of realm. But there's still time, still a few episodes to work through. I finished Chapelwaite, watched the last episode of that, worked through.
Good.
Really positive on that one. Very much enjoyed it. Adrian Brody, just so good.
And massively underrated.
Him and Emily Hampshire kind of, take the lead even further towards the end. They do a really good job of building up some of the peripheral characters, but obviously, it's the story of those kind of core group, and their ending is just, really good stuff. Another episode of I Know What You Did Last Summer. She's tumbling even further. I'm not enjoying it in the least.
How have you managed to stick?
Well, there's 4 episodes to go, so I'm gonna. Episode 5 was there already to watch. I just had to give it some distance. But episode 6, I believe, drops tonight, so I'll check them out over the weekend. But I'm not positive in the least on that one.
Well, you're halfway through it and you're not happy with it. So
no, not happy with it.
To me, it can't really go up by that much.
I mean, the slasher stuff is just, it's a waste. Like, I don't even know why you did a slasher property. But anyway, might end up doing a breakdown of that eventually. Movies-wise, I watched another Welcome to Blumhouse. I watched Madres, I think it was called. Spanish name. I'm probably pronouncing that beautifully.
Perfect.
Spanish is spot on.
Spanish.
It was actually pretty good. It was not a gem by any stretch, but it was probably my favourite of the ones I've watched so far. And it tried to put in a little bit of the kind of social themes in there. It was working in a real life sort of situation and weaving some supernatural in there. So it was okay. Yeah. Night Teeth. Got onto Night Teeth on Netflix, which is the vampire one with Megan Fox and Alfie Allen, a couple of other names in there. I was disappointed because I didn't mind the idea so much. It was pretty straightforward in a sense, but they kind of wove this like John Wick-esque backstory in at parts, but just kind of left it there. It was just, you saw it fleetingly, but then you just go back to these main characters and they just kind of left it all on the peripheral. And I'm sort of looking at it going, that kind of could have been the interesting stuff. There's something in there that's almost like the Continental, but for vampires, and I'm like, well, shit, that's where we want to go, isn't it? But didn't quite get there. I'd be happy enough if they took another shot at it, because there were certain things about it that I liked, and I didn't mind the people that ended up being sort of the lead characters in the mix. But yeah, not great. And the last one, the big ticket one, Adam, Candyman. I got to check out Candyman finally. I mean, I had the T-shirts before I'd seen the movie. But it didn't disappoint. Very happy with it. Really happy with it. I think Jordan Peele's input and obviously Nia DaCosta, I thought she did an excellent job. Absolutely loved what they did with the take on Candyman and how they shot it. I thought it was really good. And there was parts of it that were a little bit slow, but I thought the payoff and the ending was really fit, and it really kind of went where you were expecting it to go once you had people like Jordan Peele getting involved and saying, hey, the Candyman was kind of our black slasher, even though the original didn't really serve us all that well in some ways. So I kind of loved where it went, where they gave black creators the chance to say, what would you do with it? And I think the end result is really, really good. So I was very happy with that.
Excellent.
And that's me.
All right, mine was pretty quick. I finished off Heels.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought the ending was fantastic. And it really sort of sets itself up for something that I think would be very interesting for a season 2. Fingers crossed that actually does occur. I watched a show on Apple TV.
Here we go.
Well,
fucking right in the mix now.
I managed to get onto Apple TV, and as I said, I watched Ted Lasso, and I enjoyed that.
Yep.
And I was scratching my head thinking, fuck, there's nothing else on here to look for. But I actually did find one. It's called Home Before Dark, and it's about a little girl who her and her family go back to their hometown. She's like a junior sort of newspaper. She makes her own newspaper, and she starts investigating a cold case of a missing person from 20 years ago that her father was involved in. And it's really well done. And I kind of said this to my stepdaughter, this is kind of what Nancy Drew should have been. But what they've done is
what it sounds like.
The girl's like 9, whereas Nancy Drew, she could have been 15 or 18 or something. But it's taking that route. She's finding little clues and then manoeuvring towards the next thing. And I'm 4 episodes in, and it's quite...
They haven't taken a supernatural angle yet.
No.
Not yet.
And that's where your Nancy Drew went wrong. Now, I watched 2 films. I watched VHS 94. Look, it's not bad. It's just that anthology films are difficult at the best of times. And adding the found footage element makes it even harder because you've got to work around what camera angles you can have. And it was just boring. And none of them hit. I mean, there was one in there by I think it was a Japanese director, and it was about this mad scientist sort of grafting humans with machines. And it was so fucking boring. Even though it was super gory and violent, I was just sitting there going, when is this
no investment.
end? And it's 25 minutes.
How many segments?
I think there's 4.
Okay.
With a wraparound sort of story.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly not worth your time, I wouldn't have thought.
Right. I'll probably get to it because it is on Shudder.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you've got to get your money's worth on Shudder.
I'm going to have to get my money's worth. But I went found footage again with The Gallows.
Ooh.
Which is a Blumhouse film.
Yeah. Can I just say I paid for that in cinemas?
Holy shit, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I should be. I was the only one in the cinema.
I'm going to be honest. You're the only one.
I was the only one in the cinema. Actually, there might have been one other person there, but
experience.
it was I was essentially flying solo in the theatre.
Like we discussed, Jared, the idea was okay. The whole idea that this school group's redoing a play that had ended with it's set in the back in the day, and one of the parts of it is a guy's hung, and when they did the performance in the early 90s, the guy was actually hung for real. He died. And so they're coming back to try and do it again, and it's cursed and everything.
It's an incident report right there.
It was a fucking incident report, all right? Jesus, that's jobs lost, I think. Yeah. But the found footage angle just cruels the shit out of it because you can't see what's going on a lot of the time. The character holding the camera is the biggest fucking douchebag who's ever been in film. He's just a fucking arsehole. Again, I think it's part of found footage is your actors are expected to improvise, and some of them aren't very good at it. And when they're not good, they come off as really annoying. And this guy is just... I mean, you can even see it in Blair Witch Project, which is considered one of the better ones of those.
Yeah.
But it was just shit, honestly.
The genius of Blumhouse, though, it was profitable.
They looked at a sequel.
There's a sequel.
Which gets 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
I was like, how bad must
Sweet
it
Maria.
be?
I actually heard the sequel was better, but I haven't ventured.
Better than a good series.
I haven't ventured into a solo cinema session to check it
Couldn't
out.
even get a snake eyes. That's
man.
embarrassing.
I would recommend not to watch The Gallows. It's just tragic.
I did have one more actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I'm 4 seasons into The Sopranos, so I'm absolutely loving that. I don't think I'd watched bits and pieces, but I think I'd watched it properly, start to finish. And
because there's a movie
is there
coming out about Tony Soprano when he was young.
I see 2 of the blokes sort of wandering around doing tour shows where they're like telling stories.
And podcasts. I think there's a couple of podcasts with a few of the characters.
Yeah, it's about Gandolfini's heavy breathing. You can see why the bloke had an early demise. Like,
You do know the story of the last time that Gandolfini was on camera as Tony Soprano, don't you?
No.
LeBron James's pitch video to come to New York. They managed to convince him and Edie Falco to cut a scene talking about how LeBron should come to New York.
Wow.
And I think only LeBron's seen it. That's the last time that he was on camera as Tony Soprano.
Jeez. Even he didn't have a reach.
That's right. Yeah.
Anything else, mate?
No, that's it.
Nothing else. All right.
That's it.
That's pretty epic. 4 seasons of that. Long episodes.
That's lockdown for you.
That's good.
Lockdown content for you.
That's quality.
All right, let's start powering down a little bit of Crankshaft, and then let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 1998's Halloween H20.
At a secluded private school,
We could have a Halloween party. A roaming orgy.
I love the way this man thinks.
4 students are about to learn
I'm not who you think I am.
their teacher's terrifying secret.
Who is that?
My brother.
Michael!
This summer, terror won't be taking a vacation. Halloween H20.
Oh my God.
Rated R. Thursday, August 5th at a theater near you.
Halloween H20 from 1998, directed by Steve Miner, who directed a couple of Friday the 13th pictures, numbers 2 and 3, as well as Lake Placid. He's had a reasonable career, old Steve. It's produced by Paul Freeman, who produced Halloween Resurrection. The screenplay was by Robert Zapier. He wrote a few episodes of a TV show called Thunder Alley.
Good stuff.
And Matt Greenberg, who wrote Reign of Fire. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Adam Arkin as Will Brennan, Michelle Williams as Molly, and Josh Hartnett as John. Its budget was $17 million, and its box office was $55 million worldwide. And at 86 minutes, it's actually the shortest of the Halloween films. All right. Matty? What's your take on Halloween H20?
Look, it started out a bit slow for me. but Jamie Lee Curtis just does a great job in there. So yeah, I've had some good action in there. Some of it I felt like was a bit disjointed, but it's I landed on a 3 for it.
3, solid. Jared?
Yeah, I'm probably going to be the one that goes out
On a limb?
Goes out on a limb on this one. Yeah, I've got some special feelings towards this one. Very special feelings towards this one. Because obviously this was the first one that I got to see in cinemas, and I was right in the pocket when this came out. I was in year 11. I was plastering fucking pictures of this all over my folder.
Last summer.
Yeah, I had a folder with
Scream.
like Ghostface, Michael Myers.
Yeah, they were all happening.
And I was getting the subsequent looks from other people in my class going, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, so, yeah, I've got very special feelings towards this one. And I actually think it's kind of interesting to go back to now because obviously the new Halloween timeline gives a different take on Jamie Lee, but in a similar situation, dealing with PTSD almost. So obviously in H20, it's like she's putting on this front of being much more well-adjusted, but she's still on the drink and has some issues to deal with. And I actually think the family angle is possibly dealt with better in H20. I actually really like what's going on there. But in terms of nostalgic feelings, I mean, if I was to look at everything, you know, realistically, I'd probably land at a Snake Eyes, go a 3.5, but I'm going to bump it up to a 4 just because I still go back to it, and I absolutely love it when I watch it. I just,
Gordon Lovett Jr.
Taken to,
It does it for you.
Yeah. He does it for me. I'm a big Joseph Gordon-Levitt fan. Yeah. So he can have a half a star on his own. Take the credit for that.
4 stars.
4 stars. 4 stars.
Look, I've got Snake Eyes.
Yeah.
I've got Snake Eyes. I think it's actually close to one of the best sequels. Partially because I think it strips it back a bit. Strips it back to what Halloween kind of was. Some really good performances. And the emphasis is on atmosphere as opposed to gore and stuff. There's a couple of cock-ups relating to some key components.
Masks.
Say the mask, the music.
Yeah.
But overall, it doesn't detract, and it's quite good fun. So I gave it Snake Eyes.
Fair.
All right, the likes. I think straight out of the gate, they do a really good job of creating that Halloween type of atmosphere. So the way they shoot that opening sequence, the way it all looks, Michael's kind of like slinking around in the background. He's not particularly on screen that much, I don't think, if you break this down. No, and so they take a less is more approach, which is what the first one did.
Which is better.
Yeah, I think it works better for Michael Myers.
It does, especially when it's done well. And I think they do it well enough here. Obviously, a couple of nods to the original that are handled fairly decently, like, you know, seeing him outside the classroom and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think that's the one of the big pluses to it is it does work him in fairly slowly. Like, we get the kills early and a bit of scares early, but when we get to Hillcrest Academy, it takes a bit of time to get him in there and get him actually active. So yeah.
And I actually also like the idea that Laurie faked her own death and moved to California, took up a job, and as you say, put on a front. There's still big problems psychologically. And I must admit, I do find it highly amusing that she became a fucking headmistress at a school when her son's saying that your ex-husband was a fucking methadone.
It's a quick progression up the ladder there.
Yeah. So
especially to what looks like a fairly reasonable position. It's not just like your local government school.
She's shaking some hands.
I mean, that trip to Yosemite is not cheap.
Oh, it's not cheap.
Yeah, I think it's...
I just like that idea, though. I think it's cool. And the way to kind of fill the gap between part 2 and this one without mentioning the others. And in keeping with part 4, where they said she died in a car
That's
accident.
right. In terms of retcons in the series, that's not one of the worst ones that we've seen by a long stretch. It's actually looking at the other ones that have gone there and actually puts a reasonable explanation together.
You know, it's interesting because his name's not mentioned in the screenwriting pairing, but from what I've led to believe, a lot of this is from Kevin Williamson. a lot of the actual breakdown and basic structure of the entire film is what he came up with.
Yeah. Where do you think the magician came into it? Because there was some similarities shared between that script and this one.
Oh. yeah. No,
Where was Chris Angel in this?
Chris Angel or
This one.
bloody, what's that other guy? David Blaine. Yeah.
I can see him fitting right in here.
Perfect. So Williamson had a fair bit to... Like, his fingerprints are on this. This does feel like his kind of thing.
Yep.
They even talk like that. The Dawson's Creek kids who fucking...
That's right.
Nobody speaks like this at that age.
And, they're all super clever about it until it comes time to fucking get out of the death...
Until you're in an elevator.
Yeah, until you're in a life-threatening situation, that's when you become stupid.
Yeah. His fucking brain cells. There's one particular character whose fucking brain doesn't even work. It switches off when Michael turns up.
I do have a problem with the every time you're in class and the kid that's not even paying attention gives a better answer than I could as a teacher.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Mate, I wish my classes were as interesting as discussing Frankenstein.
What I love about our teachers is, Molly, tell us your thoughts. I'd be going, I don't know.
Pretty good. Tell us your thoughts. Shit movie. Overrated. Okay.
Look, it's a really good cast. I'd forgotten the quality of the cast.
Yeah.
You've got, obviously, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in that opening sequence. Then you've got Jamie Lee Curtis, you've got Michelle Williams, you've got Josh Hartnett, you've got Adam Arkin.
He was great.
Yeah, he was really good. In fact, he gets a lot of kudos.
He without doing anything, can calm you down. He's the voice and the temperament.
He fits that school counsellor role.
Yeah.
Like, the way that he talks to other characters, like you said, you can see the calming presence. He's just so good in a very small role.
And I'll throw a bit of kudos to LL Cool J.
Yeah.
Unlike Busta Rhymes, where he was kind of central.
Do we have to talk about it?
I'm having flashbacks. But LL Cool J basically takes a smaller role, a non-flashy role, and actually does act a bit. He's not just there to sort of, oh, there's LL Cool J, he kind of sticks out like dog's balls,
Yeah.
He actually does a pretty good job. He's the worst security guard.
He's the worst security guard ever. But he'll never fail to make me giggle when he sits there and goes, her tumultuous, round, melon breasts, and then gets fucking yelled at by his wife. I fucking love that. Absolutely love it.
Opening scene I actually really liked it.
Yeah, good.
Because it plays with the expectations a little bit. Because you think that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's going to go in there and Michael's probably going to kill him perhaps or whatever, and he comes back out and says, I've cleared the place. It turns out that Michael's next door. Then I also think it adds that nice little touch of it's a reasonable enough way that he would have found out where Laurie was. Well, Loomis, come on, mate, put it on a fucking USB stick or something, dude.
Fucking put it in a safe lockbox or something. I don't know. They just fucking plaster it on the walls, mate. But I think it's a good example of how to bring these characters back sometimes, especially when you're looking at Marion and we see some of the more recent work where it feels like we're just bringing people back just for the sake of it. This is an idea. Okay, we brought Nurse Marion back and she had a purpose. Okay, so the scene itself was just a pretty niftily put together sort of kill sequence to bring Michael back into the fold, but it actually served that purpose, right? That's why she's there. That made a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good example of a little bit of the fan service, and that's where you get someone like Steve Miner who knows how to work his way around that sort of stuff, crafts a nice little sequence, and we get a reason for him. Definitely a craftsman, mate. Oh, well, he's a couple of notches above Hendler in the Master Builders Association.
Yeah. He's definitely a craftsman. And I really like that scene where she comes back into her home and the back door's open. And she walks to go get it, and you just see him come walking out behind her, and he kind of just looks at her for a second, and then he just walks off.
But talking about like the callbacks, Mr. Sandman, kicking off with that, absolutely love it, and then it gets cut off by her stepping on the broken glass.
Yeah.
Just little things like that are how you bring this stuff back. It's like they know that people who know the series are going to appreciate what they're doing, but they're not just doing it without thinking about how it can fit into the purpose. Yeah. And I think that's one of the strengths of the movie, is that it does try to do that, and it does it fairly well. When they bring those familiar elements back, they do it pretty well. They don't just say, here it is, there, you happy? They kind of put it into a purpose, put it in with a purpose.
I would agree with that. I also like the opening credits. How he says, I'll just, I'll make a call, make sure, you never know. And the door closed. The guy says, what did he say? Michael Myers. Yeah, right. And he closes the door, and then it just starts up, and it uses the Halloween theme then, and it shows all the pictures of bits and pieces, and you hear the Loomis voiceover and all that.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a really nice way to do it.
Yep.
And it just reintroduces us to what Michael had done.
I could have done with a little more rambling Loomis, with a little more fire up from Donald.
You don't know what death is. That's sort of bullshit.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
A little more shaking of Jamie and fucking yelling at her, tell me what you... all that sort of shit. That could have been good.
Yeah, a little more child abuse.
Yep. We all know how I like to see children run over by bloody steamrollers and shit like that, so...
That'll never get old.
Yep.
The scene in the toilet.
Good.
I actually think it's fantastic, actually, because I love the way they start with panning across and you see the car that he took. And then it's not, like, overtly scary, but just the whole creepy idea that she's on the toilet and then his hand just comes under and takes her bag. And, I'd be like, hang on a second, pulling me crackers back in the toilet.
As a nervous shitter, you'd have to keep
I'd go, no, you're right. Hey, I just take my wallet.
She's got a full tank. Off you go.
But I think the actual best part of it is where she looks through the crack in the door.
Yes, and he
just
stops for a
second
moment.
and goes,
Yep.
and you think he's going to come back. He's going to come back and he's going to kill her.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He just moves on. And it's kind of the thing I like about this, Michael, is it feels more like, and I'm pointing more towards the later ones, where Michael just killed indiscriminately. Just killed fucking everyone he saw. He killed them. This is more of a... There is no purpose to killing this woman.
That's right. He's on. He's got what he needs, and he's
out of here.
And she didn't impede that. Like as you said, he stops and checks it out. She's not in the way. He's off.
We all know though. He turned and went. Shit,
You got a big taco.
I'd be very safe.
Yeah, I can see you right now, mate. I would have blown the bloke's fucking hair off. He would not. I'd be like, bring it on.
Michael would have stuck his hand under to get the keys and just gone, ooh.
Picture you doing it.
It would have like a little bit like that scene in Naked Gun, where she pulls out the Chinese food and goes off on the...
We've got a new idea here,
I went
guys.
out of business 10 years ago.
Drop another one. It's his kryptonite.
Yeah. He wouldn't have been able to get much fresh air under the mask. He'd have been in some strife.
Yeah, you would have heard him go, oh! Taking his mask off and you breathing heavily. Oh, shit.
Oxygen. First words we hear him say.
Yeah, but a really cool sequence.
Yeah, I liked it. I did.
I'm not sure about the car.
That shit's not running.
That car's not going fucking 10k.
Yeah.
It's going about 10 meters.
Especially, this is the thing. I look at that, having been through having children and whatnot, when you're looking for a vehicle, child safety comes into it. I look at that car and I'm like, that shit doesn't have seatbelts. That's just the old fucking bench seat in the back.
Depression here.
Yeah. It's good for smuggling moonshine, but not a transport of children.
Spawned in the back, but shit, that's no good for you.
Oh, shit.
Really good sequence, though.
Yep.
I remember not liking this sequence in the previous times I've watched it, but I kind of enjoyed that sequence where Laurie's been out for lunch and she's fucking tanked up, and John's pissed off to have an off-campus lunch.
Yeah.
And she accosts him in the street, and then she sends Charlie away, and she just turns around and goes, what the fuck do you think you're doing? She starts fucking lighting into him, and he basically backs her up and says, I'm fucking sick of this, your brother's dead. If you want to handcuff yourself to him, that's your problem.
Yep.
I like that. I thought it kind of sort of brought that energy to it about him trying to tell her, you've got to get over this. What's he waiting for?
It's such a good way to establish that nobody else understands the threat as well.
Yeah.
So she's the only one that's got the experience. She's got the knowledge. She's the only one that's probably going to be able to handle it when the time comes.
Yeah, that's right. He's lived through it, but without actually seeing Michael. And so, not even
Understanding
he understands
the threat.
it. That's right. And it's kind of when you're dealing with a slasher and you're trying to build some depth and some character, it's not always easy because we've got to spend fucking 30 minutes with Michael Myers chasing people and whatever. So it's a nifty little way to actually build on what they're talking about before. I mean, he, at times, early in the movie, they present this little thing of like he's essentially caring for her at times and fucking holding her together.
Yeah.
And he just kind of, I really like that back and forth because he basically says, I can't do this anymore. Like, it's time to live my life without really, as you said, nobody else understands what she went through. He's been trying to help her, but even he's got his limit.
He's fed up with it.
Like it's, I really like it.
Yeah, it's a tidy way to sort of add that little element to it. And I do like the fact that she nails the fucking... She gets a glass of Chardonnay and then goes to the bloke, another glass of Chardonnay.
Yeah.
The guy kind of looks at her
Today.
Today. And then she just fucking necks it.
Yeah, absolutely. Smashes it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how are you going back in the classroom like that?
I'm coming back in like fucking handicapped. Bubbles come out.
Oh, man. Yeah. Good stuff.
If Loomis can act, she can teach.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. 2 bottles of wine under the belt, and he's coming out delivering lines like a pro, so...
Yeah, I don't need fucking stumbles off, chuggers in the corner, collapses, they go, Donald will be out
but
5 hours.
Matty's done that. He's chucked it in a bin, and the kids didn't know about it, so... well, obviously not alcohol related, but you can get away with it.
I remember, just a quick sidebar about teachers getting on the piss. I remember when...
Not us.
Not you guys. When I was in I think it was in primary school, so it would have been like year 5, year 6. We went to the Cotter for camp. And we were fucking fart-assing around as per usual in the middle of the night. One of the teachers, they got sick of this fucking bullshit that was going on, so they decided to come in and separate a few of us and talk about fucking having been on the fucking piss all night. The teacher that came in, he could barely fucking speak.
Yeah.
He just mumbles a bit of shit about, you guys are fucking too loud.
That would have been, I reckon at that time you were in school, that would have been, late 80s? That would have been fucking standard fare.
Yeah, standard fare. I actually also like the sequence where she finally explains it to Adam Arkin. Partially because he seems to have no interest in it initially. He's just throwing ladies there going, interesting, take off your blouse.
Yeah.
But the way she mentions who she is and he kind of twigs, oh shit, this is, you are telling the truth.
Yeah.
And then she's like, do you want that drink? And he's like, yep.
Yep, yeah.
I thought it was a really good way, again, just to establish what had happened. And what she'd been through and the trauma that she's sort of been dealing with.
As you said, he's been kind of receptive and kind of calming and whatnot. And I think it is kind of funny because he does play it like that throughout the movie. You can see he's got that kind of edge of humour to it and whatever. And as you said, he thinks she's taking the piss and then he's kind of like, okay.
Including that sequence where he goes, so what are you girls up to tonight? Oh, well, we're going to have some sort of date rape night. And then Michelle Williams goes, care to join us? And he's like, no, I'm piercing my nipples.
Yeah.
Corkscrew the garbage disposal. I initially thought that was kind of stupid when I first saw it.
Hand's going to go.
But I thought definitely it's a nice little, pull the rug out from under you because you think he's definitely going to turn the garbage disposal on and chop that kid's fucking hand off.
Yes.
But he doesn't. And then he gets the corkscrew out and he turns and Michael's standing right behind him. And then there's a brain fart ensues. Again, I'll talk about that in the dislikes.
Yep.
So I've got a few dislikes about that particular character.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, so do
That
I.
whole fucking thing.
Yeah, pain in the arse.
Yeah, absolute pain in the ass. The death of, I can't remember what her name, the character's name, but Jodie Lynn O'Keefe. That's the best death in the movie. it's actually got a bit of, it's kind of tense, you know, she's trying to get in the dumbwaiter, he stabs her in the leg. I mean, you know what? She goes up the top, she gets out and gets her leg caught on old mate. Fuck off. Like, come on. I'm flying, I'm Superman again out of there. That guy's coming with me. Yeah. Michael's not getting the chance to break my leg. But it's a nasty scene, you know, and the fact that she's on the ground and she's seriously injured, and you know that he's just coming up the stairs. Like, he's well below her. If she was fully fit, she might be able to get away, but she's not.
Yeah, a little bit of damage is done.
And the fact that he hangs her on a fucking light bulb, hollows her out and hangs her on the light bulb.
Yes, I know some people with the newer things have had issues with Michael sort of creating tableaus as they put it with bodies. It's like, well, he's been doing that for a while. I mean, shit, he did it in the first one.
Human dioramas.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, I'd agree. That was a good one. And I actually kind of liked her. She's a likeable presence.
Yeah.
Even though, again, the character doesn't have a hell of a lot to do, she is a pretty likeable presence when she's on there. So you actually feel a little bit for what's going on there.
Adam Arkin's death is the second best one for me. Talk about getting fucking...
They make a mess of him.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you would need to have some pretty solid forearms. You'd have to have Stallone like forearms.
Yeah, but Michael Myers at this point, what? He was a
He's a spry forward.
That's right. Yeah. He's a spring chicken at this point.
He could have definitely cut loose. I think my favourite sequence with regards to where they actually get some tense stuff to it is when Molly and John make a run for it, and he comes after him, and then they lock the gate, and they're backed up against the wall, and he's slashing
that little portal window.
Yeah.
And then he looks down, he sees the keys, and he's just like
grabbing at them.
Yeah. It's really well played.
It's
and
nice
with that awesome shot of her and him looking at each other.
Yeah, it's no surprise that was the trailer shot.
Yeah.
You know, of him, although it was that horrendous mask in the trailer shot before they reshot some of it. But that's one of the better sequences because it all works pretty well, and then it culminates in Jamie Lee and him actually coming face to face and her knowing that it's real again, basically.
Yeah. I really liked it, and I think it is hard to build that tension in a movie like this, but it actually does it. For that part, she's trying to reach out and grab the keys, and he's coming towards them. Yeah, and she's holding on for as long as she can to try and get them, and then she realises, "Fuck, I've got to get out of there." It's really well done.
And that chase in general is pretty solid. It's handled pretty well. A couple of minutes worth up until that point. So yeah, that's pretty strong sequence for mine.
And for me, the last one is the finale. When they actually go toe-to-toe, it works out really well. I think they do a pretty good job of it.
That's my favourite part in the movie is when Jamie Lee Curtis grabs the axe. It just starts calling for him. Yeah. Just like that sort of harkens back to Loomis a little bit, calling for Michael. Yeah. I really enjoyed that. I was like, now we're getting somewhere with this. Yeah. It's a change in pace, and
she doesn't shy away from it,
which she never does.
Yeah,
and the ending,
and that's what makes it great.
Like the ending is ballsy. I mean, if you look at it in isolation from Resurrection, it's one of the ballsiest endings. Like one of the ones that really went for it.
Yeah.
Probably along with Part 4.
Yeah.
And of course, it got run back. But if you look at it just as part of this movie, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think it still holds up pretty well. I love the way that she, he reaches out for her and then she kind of takes a moment and then just goes fucking whack. Not happening.
I really like that sequence where she's under the tables and he starts fucking flipping them up.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yep.
I think that stuff was really cool.
Yeah, I think all of that, as you said, when she kind of lets them go and then walks back in there like, we're going to finish this, and actually does.
She also needs
super satisfying. Oh, yeah, the old Arnie special.
I was expecting it. Michael barely even fucking flinches. He's sort of like,
Yes.
That was it for me in the likes category. What about you guys?
Yeah, I had a couple going back to Just like simple stuff like the setting. Obviously, we've seen schools and universities and shit before, but I think the old kind of exclusive boarding school setup, pretty good. It gives a few kind of locations and things like that we can use. And I think the Yosemite thing, the whole thing about everyone else leaving, but we've got a core group, and especially because one of it's tied into Laurie, and you can understand why she doesn't want him to go. It kind of builds from there, and you're like, okay, I can deal with that one. That's reasonable enough. Rebellious kids kind of hanging around the place, and they're the only ones that are left with this other, handful of adults. I liked the way that they did that.
Yeah.
And I think going back to Laurie and John, I think the relationship is handled pretty well, because we spoke about how he kind of gets to this point of like, I can't do this anymore, before he actually gets to see the danger that she's actually fucking worried about. They never put her into like badgering mother territory. Like, that's what she's doing, but because we know who she is, there's always this sympathy for her, and you're almost saying to him, even though he's being completely reasonable, you're almost saying, oh, come on, mate, like, cut us some slack, even though he doesn't know about it, obviously. So I really like the handling of that relationship.
And I like that sequence when they first talk about Yosemite.
Yeah.
And he makes mention of the ex-partner and how he's a methadone addict and all that. And
yeah.
He just mouths off and says, oh, well, he left you.
Yeah, and he left you, yeah.
I know you get the smart mouth on my side of the family, but you're going too far. And I thought, that was pretty solid sort of stuff.
Yeah, I liked all that. Mentioning the throwbacks and the little nods, I sort of briefly mentioned it, but they just feel so much more natural than what they've been in the recent movies. And I know I've been pretty positive about Halloween 218 and some of the ways that they introduced it there, but it just feels like it's done better here, and it fits. And even including something like, one of the ones that I really love is Janet Leigh.
Yeah.
And how the psycho music kicks in when she goes to get in her car and stuff like that. And I'm just thinking, that's really good. And to have her be the one to drop the everyone's entitled to one good scare, I think it works.
Yeah.
I think it actually really works well in this one. Again, I've got the rose-coloured glasses on. And my last one, this is going to make you laugh, but it's simultaneously one of the fucking dumbest things I've ever seen in a Halloween movie, yet also one of those things that I look at and go, oh, that was pretty cool, when he fucking lowers himself down from the roof. It's like, when you think about it in any depth whatsoever, you're like, that is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, you would have seen him, like, how high up is he hanging? Like, all this. But when you see the feet, when you see the feet come down, then you kind of just see him lowering himself. You're like, ooh, that's kind of cool for a second or two.
Nails in the axe.
Yeah. So I did. That sequence has always been one that stuck with me for good and bad.
I love the fact that he just throws it into the ground and then he just walks past it. After he's taken the axe out of his chest.
Yeah.
And then he just keeps walking.
Yep.
That all?
That was it for me.
Matty, nothing further?
No, that's it.
All right, dislikes. The mask is fucking horrendous. Holy shit.
Well,
it looks different.
There's 4 masks. There's 4 masks. If you count the CGI one, there's 4 masks.
Where was the CGI one? Is that where he comes face to face?
CGI one's where he comes face to face with Charlie.
Fucking
and for 2 seconds you look at it and go, oh, shit. The funny thing is, like, when I saw this in the cinemas and stuff like that, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
But then when you go back and then you kind of hear mention of it and you're like, there's a CGI mask, and then you watch it and you're looking out for it, and then it's like, oh, okay, there it is. And it's just awful.
It's similar to hearing that the pig-haired fucking mask. If you look closely in one shot, you've got the mask is pig-faced, isn't it? The hair's white.
That's right.
Because they fucked up when they purchased the mask.
Yeah, I think they got the William Shatner masks unpainted. Yeah. And they just had to fucking stick one on.
So they fucking threw Luna through a wall. Jesus.
But yeah, it's... So the opening sequence with Marion and whatnot, I believe John Carl Beekler made that one, and it was based on Halloween 6. Then they did the majority of the movie with that fucking KNB monstrosity that looks like a... If not for the reshoots, even with the reshoots, the shots where you can see that, it's the worst mask in the series, no question. Yeah. Even, worse than 5. I reckon. But then they did, I think, was it Stan Winston? Came back to design the other one. And the issue is they did the reshoots, but every time there's a long shot where they think you can't see Michael, you kind of can see Michael, and it's the K&B fucking marshmallow on his head. And then you cut to the Stan Winston one. The issue with the Stan Winston, I reckon that one looks okay, but you can see his eyes all the time.
Yeah.
And supposedly it was too tight, which is why you can see his eyes so prominently all the time.
You know, these guys are professional. Allegedly, these people making these movies are professional. So the first thing you do when you're making a Halloween film is you get a mask made, correct?
Yeah.
You make sure it fits and you get an actor in place who's going to do it.
You would think.
That's what, $70 of the budget?
Yeah, fuck, you think very little. You get that shit out of the way. I mean, it's an absolute shambles. I don't know what they're
It's
doing.
a shocker. And you think how much money they must have spent to reshoot every time he was up close. And then how much money they must have spent to put a fucking shocking computer mask over the one that they couldn't reshoot. It's just ridiculous. But yeah,
I would have just
that one's
gone,
terrible.
I would have just shrugged my shoulders and said, well, that's the best we've got. That's what we've done. Not fucking spending money to computer generate something.
Yeah, I can understand why they reshot, but yeah, when you get that scene, figure something else out. When someone comes to you and says, we've done our computer work, here's what it looks like, you go, ooh, okay, we got to reshoot. Yeah, I don't care how long it takes, let's reshoot that one. But it's a shocker, especially when you get to a scene like, and when you're in the cinema, you don't really notice it all that much. But when you get to take this stuff home, you know, home media and stuff like that, especially now, 20 plus years down the track.
With Blu-rays.
Where we have Blu-rays and we're getting the 4K editions now, so pink-faced Michael Myers is in all his glory. Yeah, when you go back to a sequence like just before where they get to the window and it's chopping and changing, it's fucking chopping and changing between the two masks every second. It's pretty rough.
Nasty. The music.
Yep.
The music is only the Halloween music for that first over credits.
Yep.
The rest of it is just generic kind of scream.
Yeah. Well, it's the same bloke, isn't it?
Yeah, scream type of crap.
Can I also say that the take on the Halloween theme, it's like John Carpenter's original theme via fucking Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies or some shit. It's fucking terrible. It's kind of got this, I don't know, I just wasn't a big fan of it. Yeah. And then it kicks in with this like overly done orchestral kind of version. Yeah. Not a big fan.
No, and they're key elements of this franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, you own the rights, for Christ's sake. That tells me you own the music that comes with it.
I mean, I'm going back to the Halloween 6 and saying, can we get that electric guitar version that you didn't use? I fucking like that one and chuck that over the top.
Yeah, I mean, like, you own the rights to this stuff.
Yeah.
So you use the one that was in the original then, don't you?
If it
as
doesn't
soon as
work,
that music kicks in, you feel something, right?
Yeah.
Use it.
Correct.
Carpenter, unless Carpenter owns the music.
No, I'm pretty sure they are able to use it at their will. It's part of the original piece. So, and he hasn't been involved in every version of it. I'm pretty sure like 4 to 6, I think he just had sort of carte blanche to bust out the electric guitar and fucking go nuts.
But it doesn't work at all. It's really poor. Now, unlike the original, I talked about the atmosphere being built, and I think they do a really good job of that, but unlike the original, it doesn't really translate to scares. It's not a particularly scary film.
No.
Not even in the jump scare department.
Even when they build up, they take that time to build him up around the place. It's not quite as kind of chilling.
I mean, the one particular sequence that stuck out to me was where he's kind of hanging around Ronnie's area.
Yeah.
He's just kind of hanging around.
He just kind of pokes his head in the window and then he's off.
To me, you only need to see him walk past Ronnie and into the complex. He doesn't need to hang around and fucking check out what Ronnie's up to.
Yeah.
Because it's diluted any sort of thing of... Because all you need is him walking past, so now you know Michael Myers is inside. So we don't know where he's going to pop up next.
Yeah.
but he pops up immediately at Ronnie's window.
Yeah, and it's also like you mentioned how when he pinched the car to fucking run some moonshine down Copperhead Road, he's fucking he's kind of already made this sort of beeline.
Yeah.
So when he does that around Ronnie's window, it feels a little bit out of place. Like you feel like his purpose is just to get in. He knows she's there. So when he gets in and then he kind of hovers around Ronnie and kind of peeks in and peeks
Maybe
out.
he was
and peeks
listening
out.
into the story.
Well, maybe he was looking, maybe he was enticed by the fucking tumultuous smell of breath. But yeah, it feels a touch out of place.
Yeah.
Although you see what they're going for. They're trying to emulate some of the stuff in the original without going to the lengths of kind of introducing him around Laurie and that crew. But yeah, it falls a little bit short.
Yeah. It's kind of generic. Maybe it's just a little bit generic in the direction stakes. Adam Hanbird, who plays Charlie, just terrible. It's a bad performance. It's a terrible character.
Yeah.
His death is fucking laughable.
Is this the brain fart you're talking about?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but there's a fucking 6'5" guy standing in front of me with a white mask on. Oh, I'm not just going to go, hey. Are you serious? I'm at least aiming for the cons. I'm firing a knee up.
Yeah.
But his character is such an asshole. Like, he is
very
constantly
annoying.
talking about fucking sex. I mean, I expected him to give us a in your endo or something like that. That's all he ever talks about.
Yeah.
He's constantly going, oh, we can have a raving orgy and all this. I'm thinking, how did you even get involved?
Yeah, he's painful. He's very painful.
Good testy pop from him, though.
I don't know. He's just... I mean, you can imagine, like, Josh Hartnett's character looks like... kind of like he does in The Faculty, you know, the kind of cool kid and whatever. Just imagine him, Adam Hanbird, rolling up to him and making something about, oh, yeah, we're going to have animal sex this weekend. He's just going, fuck off, mate.
Look,
Very different approach to women, though. He's like, I'm gonna tell them outright that I'm gonna fuck them, and I'm gonna fuck them. And then Josh Hartnett's like, I'm gonna light 3,000 candles, and have a romantic date with you under a rug, and then I'm gonna get the Lego.
That's right.
Yeah. It's all. He's got a game plan. The other bloke's just a fucking. He's just come straight off the bench into the action.
Look, maybe he's a very tactical stick man, and he's having this bloke hang around, so he looks so good in comparison.
Yeah. What we don't realise is that Hartnett's a fucking socially awkward knob as well. just in degrees. The other bloke's
it's just one of those performances where he's so frustrating.
He's so annoying.
And I feel like everyone else in the group is, you know, you're happy enough to have them on screen. But there's not really anyone that you're just like, oh, we have to get rid of
I can't even
except
sort
him.
of wrap my head around the fact that Jodie Lynn O'Keefe's character would even fucking...
Yeah, that's right.
She
wouldn't vomit on you, mate.
Going, can you get this guy out of here? But it almost feels as if she's put upon.
I want to see the origin story. Like, how did this come about?
How did they meet? How did he sort of... Instead,
I'm telling you, he's fucking read the game or whatever it is, jumping to cover, and that's how he's working his way in. Yeah, that's him.
He's caught her on the end of her glow up.
That's right. Fucking dildo. Like,
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, the performance is shit. He's the least believable of the characters.
but who goes into the, you know, when you're going into the casting, who says, oh, we want this dude that's fucking constantly talking about sex and is dating one of the hot girls around school and whatever? Who says, oh, the kid from Jumanji would be fucking perfect? I don't see it.
I could see him being a horny rascal.
Yeah, he's been in there for how many years? Yeah, he's been rubbing one out in the jungle for the last fucking 2 years.
You can do it with a cheetah watching them.
Oh, dear. Yeah, like I just never bought it. Never bought him at all. Never bought that relationship. Never bought his character. Never felt that he would be in that group at all. And I know that sounds like I'm sort of coming off as, well, you know, you wouldn't have these characters, but you just wouldn't. Like,
Yeah.
These movies sometimes think that, oh, well, what we'll do is, we need to have an eclectic group. No, because in reality, these eclectic groups, sometimes it's cliques.
Yeah, look, we've been teenagers, we've discussed the fucking hot girls in school and whatever, but that kid, I mean, there's going to be a scene. There's going to be a scene where Josh Hartnett says, "For fuck's sake, can we just talk about the weather or something?"
Like, you know, that kid is like Costanza.
Yeah. Have you watched anything on TV lately that we can talk about?
Costanza stops having sex. He's the sex Costanza, right? You have used this much of your brain, you know. He's that guy.
Costanza's got more class, though.
Is he? Not much more. Yeah, he's not as just obviously over the top with his sexual talk. But yeah, and his death is...
He's got more class. Yeah. He tries to combine food with sex. His two greatest loves. That's classier than this bloke.
He eats out of the bin.
I'm telling you, that's a step up.
He comes out of the toilet with no shirt on. Oh, come on, just come back.
I think I'd still rather have a beer with Costanza.
Well, you know why I'd like to have a beer with Costanza? Just for the web of lies.
The sandwiches. He makes good sandwiches.
Yeah. I would, if it was Costanza, I would purposely leave him the bill just to see the blow up. About the tip or something.
I wasn't quite as happy with the whole, I was 17 in 1978, John's 17 this year, the parallel that Michael would return specifically almost. It's almost like she points out specifically because he's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the filmmakers were actually trying to go for, but it comes across that way.
Yeah.
She kind of sees the card and then she starts going, I wonder if they made it to Yosemite, and that's when everything kicks into gear. I just found that a little bit sort of
wink.
Kind of comes out as an issue of them trying to do this 20-year thing.
Well, we already knew it was 20 years. She mentions it repeatedly that 20 years ago my brother tried to kill me.
Yep.
You know, we knew that. It just felt like a real lame kind of scene put in there. I don't think there was any necessity for it.
Yeah.
Because it then sort of harks back, well, Michael's suddenly fucking active again because John's 17. Like her child is 17 years old and Michael's now on the hunt. You know,
he's been hanging around.
It seems
just
like
to wait
it's
for
really
this moment.
convenient. It doesn't come off at all. Look, Jared, we've had many conversations on this podcast about my hair. But what the fuck is Josh Hartnett doing?
Yeah.
That shit still wasn't fucking impressive in 98, was it?
No, I don't think so. But I wouldn't have known what was impressive in 98. I think at that point I was
You were shaving up?
No, I was working a little bit of sun into the hair at that point.
Frosted tips.
So who am I to talk?
You were bringing in some sun.
I was bringing in some sun.
No, you weren't.
I was.
Honestly.
That was before I just jumped straight into the dye. I was like, let's go. Let's just dip the toes in with a bit of sun in. So,
what about you, Matty? What were you experimenting with?
I was shaving my head because I couldn't be bothered.
Mate, you could have done some sun in.
You all know what I was doing back in 98. A bit of fucking platinum blonde.
A bit of platinum blonde, boat shoes. Ticking all the boxes.
I was having a fucking extra stick.
The ladies came out with their little card of exactly what they were looking for. Platinum blonde, tick. Boat shoes, tick. What else have we got? Chambray shirt, tick.
What
Holy
what
shit.
What boat shoes actually for? Like, do you think that they... I never really looked into
I mean, the closest you got to a fucking boat was the label of a West Coast cooler.
Yeah. Look, I didn't frequent a lot of boating establishments, but also I never really checked. Did they have like better souls so you could fucking take the boat during a rough sea? Or something?
Yeah, they might have saved you from slipping on a couple of slippery dance floors and things like that.
No, because I was frequenting fucking private gig downstairs.
Stuck to the spot.
All the sawdust was
I could do
saying.
the Michael Jackson Smooth Criminal. Whenever I felt like it.
You're trying to go to the bar for a drink and you're doing the smooth criminal. Oh shit. I'm still here.
So the key was what you do is you get yourself up at the bar and you stay in place up there.
Oh my god.
Holy shit. Fucking life in the fucking 90s.
But yes, back to Josh Hartnett.
His hair's fucking abysmal.
Could have done with some sun in. I don't think it was. I didn't like the look of it, I'll tell you that.
That definitely wasn't it. It didn't have to do with sun, it was the cut.
Yeah.
He looks like his mum did it with a bowl over his head.
It was a bold move to say introducing Josh Hartnett.
Yeah,
His performance was not strong enough to say, we're going to introduce this great talent.
Had he been in anything else? No.
I don't think at that point, but I think he was starting to.
Was coming.
I think he was starting to gather roles, so they were, confident enough that he was going to be something that we can introduce.
Yeah, well, he actually. I watched that stuff on the Blu-ray, and he actually seemed like a really good bloke. He's he's very complimentary to the film and all that sort of shit. But
yeah.
He had a lot of issues after he sort of made him a star. And it didn't. He sort of got sick to death of that sort of shit.
He started getting roasted on podcasts about his fucking haircut.
Yeah, but fuck Josh, you're in good company. These fucking idiots they were up to. Mate, you fit in perfectly.
Yeah, at least
Mr. Sundance and the fucking the shaved Avenger over here.
At least I tested the waters. You fucking dived in. You went to top tower and just dived in head first in the Chip Hazard look.
Oh my god. Jesus.
I should probably take as much heat as you because I saw you and I still did it. Yeah, that looks alright. I'll give that a go.
You never went, what? What are you doing?
I mean, at that stage I was still impressionable. I was probably looking at you going, is that the ticket? Is that what I'm going to do?
Yeah, is that what gets you? Well, no.
Out of the sun, and it was a gateway drug too.
All I had to do was ask. But Instead, I just made my own decision on that.
Yeah, all you need to say was, ladies, nah.
No.
They'll get you anywhere.
Oh my god.
Alright, let's get back to this. Fucking talking out of your ass for 5 minutes. Okay, how the fuck does anybody, this is my last dislike, how does anybody mistake LL Cool J for Michael Myers and then try to blow his head off? And LL seems to be bulletproof because there's a hell of a lot of blood underneath him when they go over to him.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you just hear this throwaway line of, yeah, baby, I'm writing a thriller. It only just grazed my head.
Yeah.
No, it didn't. It blew your brains, basically.
Yeah, that didn't hold up quite so well.
No.
Especially, don't they have kind of like a billowing curtain blowing?
Yeah, there's a curtain
there.
blowing nearby, and then you see a shadow, and it is Michael.
Yeah,
it is actually
it
Michael.
is Michael. That's right.
But then
it turns into LL Cool J.
Yeah, it morphs into LL Cool J, and he gets shot.
Yeah, you think it's Michael, and then you hear the bells, and you go, no, that's hard as hell. You knew who it was.
Exactly.
Oh man,
it's really I hate that bit. It's kind of real cop out.
Well, that's right.
Just leave LL dead.
I mean, showing it as Michael kind of shows that you knew it didn't really look like Michael when it was LL Cool J coming around the corner.
Yeah.
So.
But also, I think it seems like LL's return at the end is kind of like tacked on.
Yeah.
So they should have just left him as dead.
I don't know if it fits in with the other ones that I've seen anyway, with the bit of comic relief at the end of it to make you feel better.
Well, I think wasn't
I think there was test screenings that said that they didn't want him to die.
yeah, wasn't Busta Rhymes supposed to be LL Cool J initially? Wasn't that kind of resurrection role written? I can't remember, but I just feel like there's something saying that the resurrection role was initially going to be LL coming back or something, and then he didn't get any more calls, and he was like, well, what the fuck's going on here? Busta Rhymes is in there now. So, but yeah, don't quote me on that.
Well, let's put it this way. LL dodged the bullet.
Yes, he did.
If it was meant to be for him.
In the film and in the... Well, he was grazed by a bullet, but he certainly dodged it when it came to the next one.
My main dislike is that they wasted the opportunity for him to hit someone and say, hit Mike Myers and say, Mama said knock you out.
yeah.
Missed.
That's right.
Opportunity missed.
Way opportunity. But huge missed opportunity.
I'm going right back to the Pleasance voiceover.
Yeah, it's not classic.
I like the idea, but couldn't we have just pieced together stuff that Donald had actually said and not put a voiceover together of someone who's clearly not Donald Pleasance? Like, you listen to it and someone's trying, but they're not doing very
Getting
well.
the mark, yeah.
There's got to be plenty of sound clips.
Well, it's like they said, this bloke's English. He can be Donald Pleasance.
To the American ear,
it didn't
make a difference.
It didn't sound like Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
This is Tim Duncan, I can't understand you. To the Australians.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know what you're saying.
It kind of took you out of it a little bit because you knew it wasn't Donald.
It did, and I know that's a complaint for people who are deep into the series.
And Donald Pleasance was deceased at the time. So.
That's right, and people who are just coming into this movie are looking at that, and some of them are probably even saying, "Who's talking?" But it's kind of, it serves the purpose. But I just feel like, if you're really trying to tick the boxes for the fans of the original, which you sort of are by really linking it with this 20-year stuff, just give us clips of Donald.
Correct.
Wouldn't have been that hard to clean them up in 98.
Well, yeah. Anything else, just likewise?
No.
Don't think so.
It was a pretty good movie, hey.
Yeah.
I was happy with it. Like I said, the start was a bit slow for me, but
4 stars. Easily.
I think it did. It definitely feels it fits into that pocket of those 90s.
Yeah,
those late 90s teen Scream.
It feels like it would have fit. It would have fit in the Scream.
Yeah,
the Scream franchise. It would have fit in and know what they did last summer.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a couple of times in there where it sort of took me out of it because it was trying to do that. Like when they were watching Scream on the TV, I was like. Yeah. Little things like that. I thought Gordon Levitt. He was like a little bit smug in the role. Like he was sort of smiling at the camera, like, you know what's going to happen now. And I thought there's like a little bit of that I can totally get.
Like
too clever.
I can totally get it though.
Are you coming? And the bloke goes, I better stay here and look after her. And he's like,
yeah. It did make it pretty satisfying when he copped the boot in the head.
Oh,
yes. Yeah, that was good.
Solid.
Changed the mood.
I also loved him. I don't know. I still laugh when he walks in there and he's like, Jimmy's got a little crazy with the stick this season. And like, you can look at him and you're just like, fuck, mate, you're in the bullfrog.
Yeah.
It's,
and then he shits himself when the iron thing is at the iron falls out of the cupboard.
Yeah. Just in the mess they made in your kitchen.
Yeah.
That was good.
He just walks off. All right, that is Halloween H20. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Podomatic, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Send us an email at thrillme@ionet.net.au. We're on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com, and Instagram at Thrill Me Podcast AU. Keep an eye on our Facebook page for details of the next movie. But until then, happy Halloween, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.